And welcome to the Super Fantastic Exchange. Guys, I can't tell you how excited I am. This guy right here, I've got Michael Brown here on the show. You guys give it up for Michael. Can you hear him, Michael? They're all the applause and everything.
I can barely hear you over it.
Oh, gotta give him a moment for all the applause to die down when we get started. So
Right.
All right, now we're good. Michael, hey, I just wanted to say thank you again for joining the show, and wanted to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself a little bit deeper. So tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, my name is Michael Brown. Professionally, I am a real estate manager. Been in the management of apartment buildings since, I was right out of college, and kind of have traveled all over the country, from everything, kind of worked from groups that are just an owner operator to all third-party operators to small companies, where they have, a couple thousand units, to large companies like a Camden Property Trust is probably the largest organization, having 55,000+ units, and everything from working on site where I started, learning the business, and worked all the way up to president of Steadfast Management, where we had 37,000 units over 22 states. So a little bit of everything in between, and that's where I am today.
Yeah, that's awesome. And in full disclosure, guys, I have to tell you that I did have opportunities to work with Michael in different capacities. So he has been my leader in different ways, from different companies, Camden and Steadfast. And so this has just been a great opportunity for me to connect with him again, and because he's always inspired me. So I wanted to share with you guys the things that inspires a person that inspires me. So Michael, I know that was kind of complicated, but it's all right. We're going to get through it. Hey, Michael, so I asked you a couple of questions. I was like, I really want to know the things that inspire you as a leader here in the multifamily real estate industry. And the first thing that you shared with me, I thought was really interesting, and I'm intrigued to what you're going to share with us. But you shared the power of intention and prayer that inspired you. So share with us a little bit more about how that works for you.
I really studied different religions, and I kind of look at the fact that they're all, to me, very parallel. And so, years ago, when I was a kid, I went to everything from, I was born Jewish. I went to little things on Judaism, but more often I spent time in Christianity, but also went with my good friend to Mormon primary and to Catholic school, and just a little bit of everything. So I walked away feeling that we're really all talking primarily about the same things. We focus on a particular element. But so while we might call it prayer, we might call it intention setting, years ago I saw The Secret, which I thought was very fascinating, about really the power of intention setting. And really, when you focus on something, you tend to see more of it, and you're gravitating to it. And really, I have two really examples that I thought were pretty cool. Is that when I got to Camden originally, the job wasn't offered to me originally, oddly enough. So I don't know if I told you this story, but when I first heard about it, it was through a recruiter, and they had said, "Hey, you're coming late to the game, but there's this position for this division vice president." And I was like, okay. So he was kind of shrouding it a little bit. Finally, I got him to say, "Well, what's the company?" I said, "Well, it's Camden, but it's not out in public yet. It's you have to kind of keep it confidential." So I'm like, wow, okay. Well, I knew a couple people who had gone to Camden, and I said, "You know what? I'm going to just kind of backdoor and find out." And I called him up. I said, "Hey, would you be interested in being a reference for me?" And one of the girl, she said, "Well, only if it's for Camden." And I'm like, well, all right, I'm going to go on a limb, right? And I said, "So, well, what if it were for Camden?" She goes, "Well, there's a division vice president job that's posted on our website. It's not confidential." So, of course, needless to say, I called the recruiter back and said, "What gives? I think he just wanted to get his fee."
Right.
And so I went out and took my son, went to Las Vegas. We looked at the markets there, and in California, shopped properties. We did a lot. I had talked to Tom Sloan, who was on the East Coast, and tried to get in, and hadn't really had a chance to get an interview. It was during budget season, all that stuff, and did all this work, but never got it. And finally, the recruiter called me up about 3.5 weeks later, after I was trying to get in and talk to somebody. Said, "Hey, I'm really sorry, but the job was given to someone else, and they accepted it." So I remember I was telling my girlfriend at the time. I said, "It's not over." I said, "It's not over." I said, "This job is my job." And
Nice.
my buddies were saying, "Okay, well, we need to get him drunk because he's obviously delirious. Somebody else has the job."
Yeah.
And I visualized it. I set my intentions, prayers about, this is mine, Michael Brown. You are the division vice president of Camden Property Trust.
Wow.
And I sent a note to the COO, Malcolm Stewart, sent him a note and just saying, "Hey, I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to meet. And, if there is anything that changes or what have you, let me know. I've got folks inside that would give me good references, and I have notes on properties I went to visit. So if you're curious, let's chat." So about 2 weeks after that, again, every day I'd go to work and I'd say, "Michael, you are the division vice president of Camden Property Trust," every single day. So about 2 weeks later, I get this call from Malcolm. He's like, "Hey, Michael, this is Malcolm Stewart, Chief Operating Officer of Camden Property Trust. I'd like to chat with you." So I figured he was just going to respond and answer to my letter that I wrote. And so we're chatting on the phone, and I asked him, I said, "This sort of seems more like an interview rather than," he goes, "Well, the guy backed out of the job and wanted to see if you're still interested." And so I was like, "Well, yes, I'm interested." So he flew out from Houston to visit with me. We chatted, and he wanted to get me back out to Houston. So I went out to Houston. I was only supposed to meet with the chairman and the president. I ended up meeting with like 8 people that day. And so at the end of that day, he said, "Well, Michael, what do you want to do?" And I said, "Well, I want to join Camden." He said, "Good, because I'm making you an offer." And it happened. So, this intention setting, this focus on, this is really where I need to be, happened. And similarly, I know I don't want to take up too much of the time on one question, but for Steadfast, a similar thing happened. They had met with a gal years ago that they kept in touch with. And even though I interviewed for the position, and frankly, everyone liked me over the other candidate, the chairman chose the other candidate. But then when things changed, they brought on Randy, who was the COO, and they were going to change out who was responsible for what. She didn't care for that, so she backed out of the job. And I had set myself same intentions in prayer, and said, "This is my position." So I get a call from the chairman, and he says, "Hey, Michael, I'm curious, are you still interested in being the president of Steadfast?" And I said, "Yes, because I am the right candidate for the job." And needless to say, obviously I got it and was the president of Steadfast. And so there really is a lot to be said for setting your intentions, praying, seeing what it is you want. And you can't just, I believe you can't just sort of pray or say, "Hey, I want to win the lottery," and then don't buy a lottery ticket. Well, you got to walk in the direction with the expectation of receiving the very thing you have asked for. Wow. That old statement, Lord helps those who help themselves, right?
Right.
You can't just ask and think that things are going to drop into your lap. You have to go after it. You have to believe in yourself. So there's a lot of movement and momentum you have to make happen. But I have seen it over and over again in many examples. My wife and I met. She had prayed. She's Christian. She had prayed for finding a real heart connection. She had dated. She had been married for 25 years, divorced for 2, and she had just said, "I'm tired of dating. I really want to find a heart connection." Well, she lives in Arizona, and I'm going to be moving to Arizona. She was in San Diego, and I met her. I was online, so I had swiped right. I guess she swiped right. And she sent a note to me. This was on July 5th. She's like, "Hey, how's it going, Michael?" Blah, blah. So we started chatting, and I said, "Well, are you in Phoenix or are you in San Diego?" And so she said, "Well, I'm in San Diego. I'm staying a few extra days." And so I figured, what I got to lose, seems like a great gal. And I said, "Well, how about I shoot down and have dinner with you?" So I did. She was there another night. I went down the next night. We were hooked. I saw her every weekend. And although we met in July, we got married in November of this last year. And because we just knew it, this is it. And she is the love of my life and absolutely the most just amazing woman. And I think, again, there it is, the power of prayer and intention setting that brought great things to happen.
That is incredible. And I love how you say, you talk about there's prayer and believing that these things are going to happen, and you don't let go, even though that obstacle says, hey, somebody else has got this job.
Exactly.
I'm still believing it's mine. But I think the key part that you touched on, which I believe is so valuable, is you took action, you took steps to make it happen.
Yes.
You didn't give up. I mean, you believed it and you still took steps to make it happen.
Yeah, prayer and intention setting is not a passive event.
Mm-mm.
And I think a lot of people have that thought that just, well, I've prayed, check, boxes check,
Right.
Hopefully it shows up. Well, come on, man, go out there and do something to get it, Yeah. I mean, there's that old joke, right, where the guy, was ill with a number of different maladies, and he prayed to God for help, and so he was expecting it. So the oncologist comes up for his cancer and says, "Hey, I'm here to help you and take care of you." And he says, "No, I prayed to God. God's going to send me, cure me." And the cardiologist comes in for the heart problem and says, "I'm here to help you." And he says, "No, I've prayed to God." And all these different doctors for different things, and the guy dies. So he gets up to heaven and he says, "God, I don't understand. You have forsaken me. I believed, I prayed." And he's like, "What are you talking about? I sent you an oncologist. I sent you a cardiologist." It's like, you gotta participate in what it is you're looking for.
Wow. That's good. I love the joke, and I love the lesson from it, because it really ties into your stories, because you've got to participate in the things that you want to accomplish. So good. Now, Mike, you also shared, and you touched on briefly, your new wife, and again, congratulations. Yeah. How is she one of your inspirations?
Well, she, in a number of ways, one, the fact that she had prayed and we met, and I thought that was pretty fascinating. But she, she was married 25 years. About 8 or 9 years ago, she had two of her own children. She has a 21-year-old and an 18-year-old, both boys. And she had kind of a sense that she really needed to adopt and help other children. So she took this all upon herself, spent, I think 1 or 2 months, in China, and adopted 2 children from China, and wonderful children. And she brought them back, and it was only going to adopt 1 child. And they had said, "Well, would you be willing to have another?" And, they were actually qualified for 4. And she was like, "Well, I'm not doing 4. She goes, but she brought 2 back. And one was a 10-year-old boy, and the other was, at the time, an 8-year-old girl. So she brought them back, and she loves them dearly. They're wonderful kids. And I've come to love them. And just the inspiration for me is that to take on that, from another country, from when you have a lot with 2 children, and raising children is a lot.
Oh yeah.
And then much less bringing people from another culture that aren't babies, that have already had some established values and mores, to bring them into your world and love them unconditionally. That's pretty powerful. And that, for me, is a tremendous inspiration, because one of the things that we've talked about now that we're married and we have a lovely home, we're very fortunate, is that we want to spread that. We want to share our home, share our love, share that, don't just settle. You can have it as desperate as things may be at different times, because we've all been there. Don't just settle. And she inspires me to see things through and keep that focus.
Wow, that's unbelievable. And I can't imagine, someone with such an open heart that would go to another country and bring home to children, like you said, establish cultures and mores, and all the things, and to open up your home to bring them. What an open heart. And I can see just from that little glimpse of a story that you shared, where your wife would be such an inspiration. That's so wonderful.
Really?
Congratulations again to both of you guys. That's amazing. Now, I want to shift gears just a little bit. Your third point of inspiration, which I thought was really neat, being in the multifamily industry for so long, you're inspired by those that you've worked with to grow in their life and careers. Yes. I really like that. So tell us a little bit more about what that means to you.
Well, I've been involved in the industry on different boards, from Institute of Real Estate Management to chapters of the California Apartment Association. And I've done teaching of classes, and I've also done classes in the organizations that I've been a part of or leader in. And find people in the organization that you can see just have that fire in their belly, and that they maybe not have had someone else see that. I remember a gal, she's unfortunately since passed, Nancy McClinch. Great gal. When I met her at Reef many years ago, she was a manager of a building in Redmond, Washington, and she was a little kooky. She was a sweetheart. But everyone loved her. She had the biggest heart, and she was an eternal, like, young hippie kind of gal, right? She was beautiful and sweet, but some people just kind of drove them crazy. And I'm like, this is a leader. This is someone who gets things done. She cares. And I remember convincing my folks, like, I'm promoting her. I'm going to make her a regional manager, and made her regional manager. She did very well. I took her to 2 or 3 different companies with me because I just believed in her, and just saw her flourish. And everywhere she went, she was like a little butterfly. Just people loved her. She was successful. I find people like that I've worked with that I just want to help. I want to make sure they get the leg up. I was telling someone the other day, I said, if I can get people further in their career earlier in their life than I got there, man, that's a win. I don't care. I'll be the ladder. Just crawl up over my shoulders and get over there, because I want them to succeed. I want them to flourish. I want them to see it earlier in their life so they can experience even more, be it wealth or accomplishment or whatever their joy is, to find that. And it just makes me feel so wonderful to help people get there, and to see their careers grow. And we keep in touch, and they're like, wow, I have a gal that's a great friend of mine. She was a manager when I was at Reef as well, and now she's a senior level person at Cushman & Wakefield, overseeing nearly 100,000 apartments.
Wow.
And so, I mean, hats off to her for working through it all and making it happen, and someone I care about, and inspires me through trying to help her move her career earlier on.
Wow, that's powerful. And Michael, I have to compliment you, because as a leader, I believe it takes awareness to really know your team, your associates. And when you find that person that has, like you said, the fire in the belly, as a leader, you have that awareness, and then you start taking action, and that's just, there's that common theme in our conversation where you take action, and you're taking your wisdom and your experience, and you're supporting, as you said, being the ladder for them to help them get to their next level. And right. I love how you talk about it. You want them to get to their next level sooner than later, and I think that's one of the reasons I always gravitated to you as a leader as well. And I appreciated all the things you did, inspired me in the time that I got to work with you as well, because I could see that, and I feel it. And again, our conversation here is just confirmation of who you are as a leader, and somebody that inspires others. So thank you. So Michael, we're getting close to the end of our time.
Yeah.
So I want to give you an opportunity to close us out with a parting thought.
I think it comes full circle. It's just, you need to believe in yourself. And as hard as that is at moments, to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and really call yourself out and say, you know what, I have a lot of great skills, qualities, and joy and love that I have that I can share, and to just feel that confidence, because it's there. Everybody has it. And there are moments where we have dark hours, and we think that we don't, and that we can't stand without other people, and we do have that strength. And I just to pull that up and recognize that confidence is there, and that love is there to love yourself, and then you have the capacity to love and care for other people, and to be inspired by them as much as you inspire them. And I find it very powerful. And as I mentioned, prayer and intention setting. Set that goal, make it happen, write it down, put it on your refrigerator, put it on your Outlook every day so that it shows up, and it will happen. But you got to walk towards the direction of what you're looking to receive and see it. It's just like if you buy a Honda, all of a sudden you see tons of Hondas on it. It's like, oh my God, everyone's buying the same car I had. No, they were always there. Yeah. And it's the same thing. If you're focusing on wealth or success or whatever success is to you, you will find it when you keep looking for it.
And participating. I love that, Michael. That is a great closing thought. You can drop the mic with that one. I so appreciate, Michael. I appreciate your time sharing with us, and your stories, your influence, and your inspiration has been amazing personally in my career. And I thank you for that. And I know you'll continue to inspire others as well. So guys, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of the Super Fantastic Exchange. You guys make sure you're following Michael Brown on LinkedIn. Just get to know him in some capacity, because I promise you, he really is that inspiring leader that you just want in your life and career. So thank you again, and we'll see you. Michael, thank you so much. We'll see you on the next episode of the Super Fantastic Exchange. You guys have a great day.
Thank you.